Okay, we're here to public session. We have no resolutions coming out of executive. And so we've reached that portion of the meeting where we welcome public participation. If you've signed up to address the board, please approach the podium, identify yourself so that people at home on the live stream know what's going on. You have 2 minutes, and when you're approaching the 2 minutes, our board clerk will notify you. If you haven't finished something and you have something in writing you want to leave, please leave it and we'll make sure it's disseminated. So is there anyone who would like to address the board at this point? Anybody?
I'd like to just, I didn't sign up.
That's okay. Can you identify yourself with the mic?
My name is Andrea Maddox. I'm a resident of Rosendale, Zone for Meyer Elementary School. My son Merle is in his 2nd year at George Washington as a kindergartner. When Merle was 3, we heard about the Montessori program at George Washington and that they had universal pre-K. Merle was a very active, observant, and independent 3-year-old that needed to be engaged all the time. So my husband and I were eager to find a fit-in pre-K for him. So we went through the process to get special permission, and we're very happy that he was able to go to George Washington and plan to send his sister there next year. I grew up in Tennessee and attended a brand new public school based on a new philosophy of education that was similar to Montessori, the Potato Proposal, which employs didactic coaching and Socratic seminar in every class in order to inspire lifelong love of learning and independent thought. The school opened as a magnet school and is still a success today with 95% of the students graduating and going to college. I believe I am who I am today because of the creative nurturing, intellectual challenges, and cultural diversity that I encountered at a school that prided itself on teaching kids to empower themselves through independent thought and creativity. I believe that George Washington Elementary Montessori program provides kids from all different backgrounds the opportunity to work together and learn to be independent thinkers through creative play and hands-on learning. The statistics proving the benefit of a Montessori program in the public sector are impressive. Merle is very proud of his work at school and feels important in his classroom. He contributes positively to the environment and wants to be present at every school function. His teachers support his creative exploration and guide him when he needs help. We've been very pleased with all aspects of the Montessori program and the faculty and staff at George Washington, and will continue to support it so that it may continue to serve our family and our community. Thank you. Can I leave this with you?
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board at this time? All right, hearing no one, I'm going to turn the floor over to Dr. Catalino on your superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, so we are going to start our superintendent's report this week with our principal from J. Watson Valley, Mrs. Fitzgerald.
Good evening, everybody. This is my 2nd year, as you know, at Bailey Middle School, and where did it go, Craig? And, you know, last year I didn't really know what to say. This year, not so much. I got a lot to say. We've been doing a lot of great things at Bailey Middle School. I know that the board is really pushing for restorative justice in our district, and we're taking that and we're running with it, and we're trying to learn as much as we possibly can. We are just starting to bring restorative justice into our building. And one of the things that we started this summer is that there were probably about 10 administrators that were able to go to a workshop in Poughkeepsie. It was an intense workshop, I will tell you that. It was 4 days, all day, strictly on restorative justice, and it was done by Dr. Tom Cavanaugh from the University of Colorado. He told us so many things, he gave us so many examples, and I think I can speak for all of us who attended that workshop. We are nowhere near being an expert. We're not even, a tip on the iceberg from learning so much about this practice. But we had so much information that I wanted to really start it in our building, even if it was just a little bit. So what we did was, all of the paperwork that Dr. Tom gave us, doing more research on restorative justice, I developed an in-service. It was over 2 days after school. I probably had about 20 to 25 teachers sign up for it, and it gave a brief overview of what restorative justice is. You ready? Okay. So I just pretty much covered all of that. So we attended the 4-day restorative justice workshop, and I did facilitate 2 workshops for our teachers. Examples of restorative justice at Bailey Middle School. So I will tell you that we have started, and we have, as I said, just begun to do some restorative things in our building, and these are just some examples. So I will tell you right up front, there are still going to be suspensions. We don't want them, but we have to be realistic. Our main concern in our building is safety for our students. And if there is a student that is not going to make our environment safe, they are going to have to be suspended. However, there is restorative justice that we can use, that we can bring them back earlier. So I'm just going to go over a few examples of some of the things that we're doing. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So I had a student who made some really insensitive remarks about some kids. And they made a comment about, oh, they look like a chemo victim. Well, that's pretty insulting considering so many kids are affected by cancer. So what did we do? We gave that child the opportunity to create a report on how cancer affects families and what happens to our children. So the other thing is that anti-bullying. Our parents are always saying, my child's being bullied, my child's being bullied. So what we did was, there were some kids that were actually doing bullying. Instead of suspending them, I had them create an assembly all about anti-bullying. They probably did about a month's worth of research on it, and then at the beginning of this school year, we were able to present it to 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And this was all created mostly by our 8th grade students. Anti-bullying songs. We had a couple of students that were, making up some really mean songs. So instead of giving them an in-school suspension for bullying again, I had them create songs about anti-bullying. We recorded it, and we're going to go further with those songs. Those students who want to write on our bathroom walls, throw trash all over the place, or just disregard, our building. We have them put the orange vest on, and they're out picking up papers that are in the hallways, wiping down some of the graffiti in the bathrooms. The other thing is circles. We've had a few teachers who have volunteered to create circles. What is a circle? Well, a circle is something that we have learned in restorative justice that teachers build in their classroom. They create an actual circle, and that circle can do many things. It can be a community builder. It can be setting norms in the classroom. When the norms are broken, bringing that circle back together and talking about, what went wrong. How did that breaking of the rule affect everybody else? The other thing is restorative mini conferences. It's kind of like mediation, but it's a little bit different. you have the two students come together with me and, or the teacher, depending if they feel comfortable or not, and talking about how that action affected them, the other person, the victim. And we really have had good conversations with this. Peer mediation. Peer mediation is something that we started this year. I have a quick video after I finish talking about everything else. But peer mediation is a group of our students who other students come to them to help them work out problems. No adults are involved. It's pretty amazing. It's advised by an adult. She makes sure that, the kids are running it okay, that, they're answering, questions, that they get the support that they need to help their peers. Counseling in lieu of suspension. Like I said, suspension is not going to go away, unfortunately. But we can bring them back early if they choose to participate in some form of counseling, whether it be Teen Intervene, which really works with students who are experimenting with drugs, Too Good for Violence, for those students who just have this rage in them. And then something else that I'm bringing to both middle schools that I'll talk about in just a few minutes is dialectical behavior therapy, which we also call now Do Better Today. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then the last thing is the 180 program. And the 180 program is an outside agency where, run through the family of Woodstock, they work with the family and the child before we get law enforcement involved. We want to keep them out of the court, and 180 gives them support. So just a real quick video on our peer mediation at Bailey Middle School.
We need peer mediation because a lot of kids, they have problems that they don't understand how to handle yet because they're just starting to go through them. And us, all being 8th graders, having been through these problems, we can see how insignificant they may have been at the time and kind of show them through these problems. And it helps a lot of kids without having to go to the office or having to get in trouble. They can just talk to another kid.
Usually their teachers will come to us because they see something that's going on and they see maybe that the kid is struggling. They can't think about schoolwork because they keep thinking about the problem.
Kids can also find us in the hallways whenever they see us, especially kids who have already been through peer mediation. If they have a recurring problem or even a new problem, if they see us in the halls, they can always talk to us.
Well, when we do peer mediation, we sit down and listen to each child's story. Like if it's a problem like with herself or with other people, we just sit and listen and we pay close attention, and then we just try to help them and give them suggestions on how they can resolve their conflict.
We don't try to victimize anyone or make them feel like they did anything bad. We try to relate to them and make them feel comfortable saying things that maybe they wouldn't say to their superiors, but it's all confidential. We make sure that they know that it stays in that room and it's not gonna go out of there.
Peer mediation influenced me because it helped me when I have my own problems to just picture myself in one of the students' positions, and I just think about what I would tell them to do, and I try to basically mediate myself when I have a problem. It just helps out a lot. I'm very surprised with the outcome that we have because the kids are very cooperative and they're understanding and they're easy to work with.
It really feels like the kids want to resolve the problems more than they want to have them.
I think it works overall because people just want to solve it, but sometimes they don't know how. But the main point is we try to figure out the problem and put it into how, is it really a huge thing? You have to think about a bigger picture.
I've seen in the hallways, it's been like a lot quieter. There's like not a lot arguing since we've been doing it.
My mission in here is to help kids not only resolve conflicts inside of school and with us, but also know how to resolve them personally outside of school.
It's good to be able to solve problems on your own. That's definitely a skill that needs to be learned. But in the beginning, and especially when they're coming into middle school with a lot of other conflict, it's good to have somebody else look at the issue and tell you how this is the issue, this is how you may want to resolve it, and then you can further use that in your life.
Those are all 8th graders, and we do have one 7th grader who is also on the peer mediation team. Okay, so I know that my next slide is going to be one of the most exciting pieces of Bailey Middle School. So, on our back to school night, I had a parent come to my office, I don't know, it was probably 10 after 8, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to go home. But she, thank you. Nope. Yeah. But she came in and she introduced herself to me, and she said, you know, I'm so-and-so, and, you know, I teach coping skills to adults. And I said, really? I said, because those adults who have coping issues, I probably have some of their children. So we started talking some more, and I was like, how great would it be if we could bring something like that into our school? Because our kids, and I know you know this, our kids have trauma in their life. They have so many things that we all take for granted. They just don't know how to deal with their feelings, their emotions. They've never been taught that. So I want to teach them. I want to be able to, you know, show them what it's like to eliminate some of that stress. So I got a few names, and I reached out to Kim Adesso, who is the manager of the Benny Partial program. Now we have, I'm not going to say several, but we have a few kids who have used the Benny Partial program. And what happens is they go to this program, they get their mental health for 2 weeks, and then unfortunately they're back in our school with really no support. So I came up, talked to Kim, and we put our heads together, and she said, I would love to be able to have dialectical behavior therapy in the schools. How great would that be? And I said, let's do it. So I put a proposal together, which I have, Dan has passed out to you. And this is a lot of money. How are we going to afford this? So I went to Benedictine Health Foundation because I know that they have helped out the high school quite a bit. And I spoke with Barbara Clausen. She said, put a proposal together, come speak at our next board meeting, and we'll see what we can do. Well, I did that, and within hours, they emailed me and said, we want to fund the whole entire program. And I was just, I couldn't get in touch with anybody. I had to call the boss here just to let him know that I was so excited. So what this means for us is that both middle schools will be getting 2 clinicians twice a week to teach coping skills to our kids from 2:30 to 3:30 in the afternoon. And what we're going to do is the teachers are going to refer our students Our guidance counselors are going to refer them, social workers, and school psychologists. And, you know, this is all part of restorative justice. And, you know, my goal is to make sure that every student that needs the support in our building has exactly that. And the reason we changed it to Do Better Today is because we are really thinking of our students. No student wants to be known that they're going to therapy. Nobody. So, but they want to do better. So why not call it Do Better Today? And I think, Camille, you should be putting up that sign. I'm pretty much done. Oh, no, I'm not. I have one more thing. So the last thing that I want to talk about, which is part of our restorative justice, is learning after the bell. And I think that this will be discussed further, so I apologize for jumping ahead. But learning after the bell is another way to help our students succeed. So for those students who are suspended, unfortunately, for whatever reason it may be, we now have extended our program from 3 to 5:30, our academic program. We're going to be giving support for those students who are suspended. We are allowing them to keep up on their studies by expanding the program from 3 to 5:30. And we're also going to add another counseling component into that program with our own staff, with our own social workers. So when they do come back, they will have a relationship already built. Now, any questions?
I have more of a comment. I'm just really pleased on so many levels that you're trying to move restorative justice into your building in such real ways, meaningful ways. And I'm really pleased to see that the program is shared by both of those schools, because I'm so interested in having parity in both buildings. I think that we all would love to have a system where we don't have any suspensions, and we know that there have to be some, but we are really happy, I'm really happy to see that there are alternatives built in so that kids don't have to stay out as long, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
I would just echo what Ms. Jones said about, it seems like there are so many really great opportunities, and I really appreciate your thinking about even asking for the $12,000. Like, that didn't discourage you. I think that's going to be a really great program, and it's very encouraging. Yes, restorative justice is a huge push for us and for the whole district, and you know, one of the really important things about it is that it's a comprehensive kind of philosophy. So it's not just what happens to a child after there's an offense, but kind of how we deal with kids and in a prevention mode, but also to kind of get them to a place where they're not offending. And so circles are an important part of that, but that is a really big culture shift in the school and a really big culture shift in a classroom. And so I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit to how you worked with teachers to integrate that into their classrooms, and then how, I mean, it sounds like you're kind of working first with the teachers who are willing, and then how you'll work to spread that to other classrooms.
Well, like I said, that this is just the beginning. So at the beginning of the year, our first couple of superintendent's conference days in, in August, I addressed it to the board, to the entire faculty. I showed a couple of videos on what restorative justice is. We are constantly talking about the behaviors, you know, what's acceptable, how can we change our actions so students are not, you know, escalating. And just to touch base a little bit more on the Do Better Today, Robin, we have already had Kim and her staff come in and work with our support staff. They did that last week. They did it with Miller today. Her staff is coming in tomorrow to work with the entire faculty to teach them how to talk the language, and also to teach them how to de-escalate the situation and remind the staff about the trauma that our kids are going through, and teach them the warning signs of a kid that's in trauma. Excuse me. So this year, because I am brand new with this, and I am not completely comfortable, to be honest with you, about, teaching circles to everybody, I have had a core group of teachers that have really taken the lead in doing those circles, and I will tell you that they are in 5th and 6th grade classes, and that, so I'm hoping that they're going to be my turnkey people. I'm also getting the family of Woodstock involved in more of our faculty meetings, because they also teach these circles. They're the experts. So I've already talked to Jonas Bear from the family of Woodstock, and my mind is blanking on Nicole, I think her name is. They will be coming in after the holidays to give more information about performing circles. So.
Just to jump in for a second, I think what Ms. Fitzgerald said hits the nail on the head, and I think I've been saying this to the board. We are